Hello, everybody, and happy Friday to you wherever you are. This is the Weekend Big Show powered by Law Dog Sports. I am Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog, joined by my partner of now 7 years.
It's been a minute.
2018 to 2014. That's 6 years, isn't it? No, that's 8 years. Is it 8 years?
It's been that long.
2018. No, it's 6 years. The math ain't mathin'. That's a great way to start a show, to show the deficiencies of the Coweta public school system. I'm sure they appreciate that.
Okay,
anyway,
that was the time math was going to save your life.
The one class from high school that ever served me any purpose was typing.
Yeah, I can see that.
Say they should have taught me how to truly read and know a tape measure, balance a checkbook, and then type. So that's the three skills. But anyways, Jeremy Schroeder, ruler of the airwaves, joining me here as he always does. It's a big weekend show. And I tell you, Jeremy, last night, the football, well, first off, these are the glory days of the fall because it finally turned cool last night. And then we've had football every night this week. I mean, and it's been 2 or 3 weeks ago that one of the guys tweeted out 50-some days without, with football every night. But I'll say this before we get too deep into anything. Conference USA and the Fun Belt, they've got to jump back on the offensive train. They put out some stinkers on Tuesday night. There were some low-scoring games. I mean, if you're going to be throwing it out there on a Tuesday night, you need to be given the goods.
Isn't it crazy that the upper levels are more offensively fun? Some of them, mostly. SEC's got Lane Train and Levy's over there, and teams putting up a lot of God dang it, Kalen DeBoer.
DeBoer.
Guys putting lighting up the scoreboard, and then you get to these lower levels where it was like watch Akron Toledo go 48-45 on a Tuesday night, and now it's like 13-10.
Yeah, it's a defensively minded conference in a lot of games, and then I think it was it was New Mexico State, really a bit of a sleeper against Florida International the other night, and I don't know, it is nice to have football. It's like bowl season. It's like, those family get-togethers where there's like 4 bowls that are all scheduled during the time you're visiting with your family, and you just kind of turn them on, leave them on. Somebody will sit and watch 5 minutes of it. But it was a fun Halloween last night. We had a bunch of trick-or-treaters come by our house, and I looked out today. Luckily, no nails behind the tires, no toilet paper on the house. We must have did all right with the candy.
Full-size candy bars this year?
No, we went with the fun size. I was joded. What chided? Chided. I used a couple of bad phrases there.
Yeah, you did.
I was chided. My obviously vocabulary wasn't a strong point at Coweta Public Schools either. I was chided last night by one of our family members here in town that said, "Yeah, I'm going around telling everybody you got full-size candy bars." I'm like, "Oh, don't do that." Oh, there you are. You just posted a deal the other night, or
what's that?
Just 30 minutes
just a few
ago.
minutes ago. Yeah, about Halloween. That's I reposted from a fellow Sooner fan about check my daughter's Halloween bag and found tight end lined up against an elite edge rusher. Some people are just sick.
Dan Narva on Twitter just a minute ago, stance of the older Dick McAuliffe. Wow, that's quite the stance there. What do you want to jump into first? College football, World Series, or your Thunder, who are 4-0 on the season?
Well, being it's right at the front of my brain, let's jump into the World Series.
Okay. So gentlemen's sweep for the Dodgers, their second World Series in 4 years. Yep. They won that 2020 pandemic stalled series,
The Bubble Gangster
the
series
bubble,
doesn't
yeah,
count.
and
Asterisk.
Globe Life Field. But here I have been, Jeremy, giving credit to Mookie Betts for all of these world championships and stuff. But in actuality, it's Will Smith and not the crappy actor and who assaulted Chris
Not even
Rock.
the same Will Smith every time.
No. um, so a Will Smith has won the World Series 5 seasons in a row. That goes to L.A., Atlanta, Houston, Texas, and back to L.A. So, man, go get you a Will Smith on the team.
Sure. Hey, you got a great chance. Will Smith,
Yeah,
get after it. But yeah, I can't remember who we picked the other day because I hadn't watched much baseball this year because
yeah.
my Cubs were hovering right around 500 all year, so not a great year for me.
Well, and there I was talking about having games on in the background, and that used to be the case when I had Cox Cable in the metropolitan area with Bally's, and I would just turn on a Rangers game, kind of leave it on, do some other stuff, whatever the case might be, and then kind of keep up with the game. And without having the Bally streaming service, which I think is it now going to be FanDuel or?
Yeah, I don't even think it's legal in Oklahoma.
Oh, wow. All right. Dan Narva checking in. He says Houston Oilers. Houston
Yep.
Oilers. So definitely a fan of the vintage Oilers cap, and I am too. That's a sweet lid. But no, you were talking. There's in a gentleman's sweep. There's going to be a handful of moments that people talk about, but in essence, the Dodgers.
Just
I mean,
anything Freddie Freeman did in the series.
Well, it was over after his walk off.
Well, and like I said, I didn't watch much baseball this year, but I happened to turn on the World Series when I got home from work,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, what? Like, what's the left-handed pitcher's name? The pitched in game one. They left him out there far too long,
For
but he just
LA.
started grooving fastballs.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so he gets a fly out, and then Freeman comes up. It's like, if he grooves him a fastball, this thing's over.
Mm-hmm.
And first pitch, man, Freeman crushed it.
Yeah.
And, it just felt like because I remember where I was at Todd Easton's house watching the game in his living room with his parents. When Gibby,
Yeah.
hit that shot off Eckersley, and it's like that. Well, this series is over. Momentum, crazy.
It is just such a deflating play for the opposing team to have game one in the bag, in essence, and then give it away.
It took him 2.5 games to recover from that.
Yeah,
just the shock of it.
Yeah, and the gentleman's sweep. I mean, it would be tough. It was going to be tough to win 3 games in New York. I mean, and
True.
Baseball. I guess because you do transport more players and staff, the 2-3-2 is their thing. I personally kind of like the basketball 2-2-1-1-1.
Well, you got 40 players.
That's what I was saying. I mean,
4 or 5 coaches, your bullpen staff, all your support people. Yeah, you're probably transporting 75, 80 people.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Yeah, super easy. Instead of a 15-man roster, 3 coaches, couple trainers, team doctor, 25 people tops.
Yeah, it was Jake Cousins who gave up the home run to Freddie Freeman.
Okay. Which one? Dude went yard the first 4 games.
Well, the walk-off grand slam, which that was the first walk-off grand slam, I think, in World Series history. But it just to exacerbate the fact is it was extra innings too. I mean, you let it slip away in essence, and then, but I don't know. I'm like you. I didn't follow baseball nearly as much as I should have this last season. After the Rangers won, it's just kind of that. And maybe you went through this with the Cubs, but after your team finally wins one, you're just kind of like, you don't want to really jump back in and see what.
Yeah, but when the Cubs won, they brought back pretty much the entire core of that roster, and then just the heartbreak of watching them sell off pieces. You lose Baez, they send Bryant away after he goes Rookie of the Year, MVP. Rizzo goes to the stinking Yankees. It just the heartbreak of it just kind of
They
turned me.
really drug it out for you too.
Yeah.
Because Rizzo hasn't been a Yankee that long.
It's his third season with the Yankees, isn't it?
Well, that's not that long when you consider how far back the Cubs won the series.
Well, it's 8 years, Chuck.
That's right. So it took them 5 years to
then they
dismantle that.
Wilson Contreras was the last player from that team, and he was a Cub until year before last.
Yeah. Well, it is a rebuilding process for a lot of squads. It's funny. We've talked about on this show before about the windows that these teams have to win a World Series. Houston seemed to have an extended window. I mean, you think about a team that's played in that many playoff games through the run that they've had since they were so bad. That's a lot of ALCSs. That's 2 World Series. I don't care what you say about the 27th. Yeah, there you go. Like I said, I don't care what you say about
that's a lot of trash cans to go through.
Not the banging of the trash cans, but it was just. I mean, here's the thing: you bang on trash cans at home. I don't know if they prove they were pulling it off on the road.
Wasn't on the road where they had was it the buzzers? Was that the theory?
No, I thought the buzzers were like in the playoff series.
I don't know. It was probably hard to get somebody in the outfield with
there's a lot of
set of field glasses and a phone.
There's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there talking about the wrinkles in jerseys this season. I saw tweets that showed 4 or 5 different pictures of guys rounding home, rounding third to with a wrinkle in their shirt.
Because a major league hitter's not going to sit in dead red isn't going to hit an 88-mile-per-hour fastball 4,000 feet.
Yeah. Dan Narva checking in says, I was totally floundering until the Tigers got hot, but no way they were going far against the top dogs of the MLB. Could have beat Cleveland, but their hitting disease came back. Dan, I'll say this season, Jeremy, and I'm not saying this on a conspiracy-based deal, but just the way the trend is, it was going to be L.A. and New York.
Oh, yeah.
The whole way.
They spent the most money.
It's a money game. Moneyball is gone.
So, what if the Dodgers go out and sign Soto? Do we just give up on the league altogether because they're never going to figure it out?
Well, any year they line up and have Mookie Betts, I mean, they have to be a favorite. Here's the thing. What if you're the Padres and you took them to, a further limit than the Yankees did, but you just couldn't get it done? What you got?
You got to – I guess you got to spend more money, right?
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing that's kind of disconcerting to me, Jeremy, is – the National League, this is 1 season away from Arizona playing for it last season.
Yeah, Arizona.
And that wasn't a powerhouse Arizona team, but, they won the National League. It's like the Lakers. It's like any team in a major market, I guess is what you should say. Once they kind of get their act together, or like Texas football, once they get their act together with management and coaching and player personnel moves, they're hard to stop. If they have competent people, they're increasingly hard to stop because the good squads that don't have the money can't maneuver like that.
Well, absolutely. You look at the NIL that Texas is throwing out there. It's a lot like you look at the Yankees payroll. And I'm not saying that the Yankees are good or the Dodgers are good simply because they spend money. I mean, that's part of it. That's a big part of it. But look at these. Aaron Judge is homegrown. A lot of these guys that are on their team that end up being the better, like Jeter was homegrown. A lot of these guys they develop through their farm system, and they have good farm systems, which is how they are able to trade and get these guys. Yeah. Because they've got good pieces to trade off because they're managed well from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And it sucks and we hate them, but it's just a cold, hard fact.
That's like, just to equate it to college football, which we will transition to here in a minute. Dan Narva says, my analogy to that is March Madness Cinderella's hitting their ceiling against the Blue Bloods.
Who won the World Series last year?
Texas.
Oh, that's right. My brain is just not working today.
Hey, welcome to my world. Speaking of, Sweatshirt day. You're a hat guy. I'm a sweatshirt guy.
Santiago.
German for Wales. No, what I was going to say is you're exactly right about the development of talent, and to equate it to college football is the squads that have perennially been in the college football playoffs since it came about, and even back to the BCS, top five-star recruits, but there's always two or three, sometimes four guys who just kind of stepped on campus, developed, and got out there and got after it.
Josh Jacobs comes to mind. He was a three-star Tulsa and just flourished.
In the Josh Alabama Jacobs, system. I mean, really on OU's part, Drake Stoops, even though he had a great last name to be on campus with, but still, the performance they got out of him was pretty exceptional for a walk-on.
For all those OU defenders that are in the NFL, starting for their teams, Dylan Turner-Yell, Nick Benito, kicking around the NFL for a while and couldn't tackle or cover a lick in college.
Is Obo still with Cleveland?
Obo was with the Texans.
Oh, okay. But he was with Cleveland.
He was with Cleveland. He was with the Rams. Yeah.
Speaking of Texans, as we transition out of baseball, well, back to baseball, congratulations to the Dodgers. You've changed the game. Ohtani was obviously not performing well, but when you've got a bat like that in your lineup,
he's injured.
What was the injury?
I want to say he got an AC joint sliding.
Okay.
But he tried to play through it. He just wasn't very effective. Of course, when Freddie Freeman's hitting the ball like he was, you only need one or two other guys getting on base because that guy was just in fuego.
And Mookie. But Dave Roberts, I'll give him credit. He's obviously figured out how to handle the keys to the luxury sports car, and if that's your situation, that's your situation. If I spend all my time being a hater against the programs who have money to throw out the window at stuff, then I would really waste a lot of my life. But I'll say this. You think about this, 2 World Series in a course of 5 seasons, I think. When was the last one before 2020 for the Dodgers?
Man, it had to have been the Lasorda series
88.
in 89, 88. Yeah.
88.
The Gibby series.
The Gibby series against the Bash brothers.
Yep.
Think about this, Jeremy. You're a fan. Well, I shouldn't say this because you're a fan of the Cubs, but you're a fan of the Dodgers had a decent run of success in the 80s. 2 World Series in the 80s. Played for several in the 70s. Just couldn't topple the Yankees. But think about this. You go from 1988, the year I graduated college. I remember I was at OCU living on the baseball floor in the dorms, which that was quite the experience. But anyways, when those guys all went ballistic off the Gibby home run. So fast forward to 2020, when yours truly is just turned 50, and that's their next World Series. That's a lot of futility for a storied program. So in this day and time, you think about what it takes to win a World Series, what it takes for these teams to get it done. And how about this? What are the Yankees? Are they suffering under the curse of the A-Rod? They haven't won one since 2010?
Since A-Rod, yeah. They won one with A-Rod, and they had, before that it was 2000.
I think
they haven't won that many this century.
They lost the one in 2001 to the Diamondbacks. Did they win another one after that?
I want to say they did, but I don't know. I can effort that.
No, I got it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Your typing's too loud.
Oh, wow. You suck. But yeah, the Dodgers, for a franchise that has always never been afraid to spend money, the futility, the almost the 20 years of no World Series, 30 years of no World Series is a bit perplexing. In 2016, the team the team the Cubs beat to get to that World Series was the Dodgers.
Yeah. And so 2009 actually was the World Series. And then I think the previous one before that was 2000. So they had the great run with
like 96, 98,
and all of those guys. And then a drought. Yeah. And then they lose the 0-1 series to Luis Gonzalez and the Diamondbacks. That was Randy Johnson, and was
Junior Spivey on that squad?
I think he was.
Yeah.
So Randy Johnson was on that squad. Was Schilling with them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Schilling was with them. Council.
Oh yeah, Craig Council was huge.
Man.
That was
Matt Williams was on that team, wasn't he? Was Matt Williams on that team?
He was Mark Grace.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, because my boys moved out to Arizona in 0-1.
And you know who was doing color commentary for that team?
Let me tell you something, big fella.
Let me tell you, gentlemen.
I got a World Series ring. Anyways, whatever. For those of you wondering who we're talking about, it's a rotund sports talk guy, legendary sports talk guy in Oklahoma City, the master of schlock nowadays. No, and here's the thing, and what I was getting at too is like Aaron Boone is probably out this season, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't drop that fly ball in center field. But he didn't make Garrett Cole not cover first. But, you lose enough of these World Series or don't make it to the World Series and you're Yankees, you're probably going to get fired. Good thing there's a Steinbrenner man in the ship, because there's a pretty good chance he could get rehired back at some point in the future, a la Billy Martin.
Dan Narva says Tigers knocked out their murderers row in 2006. I love that D-backs series.
I'm just trying to think who would be a candidate to be the Yankees manager. You would think it'd be somebody with ties.
Oh, it's got to be a former player. They're not going with somebody from outside. They had too much success doing that with Torrey.
What's Jorge Posada up to now?
what's Joe?
Isn't the trend to bring a catcher in as your manager?
Give Joe Girardi a call. Bring him back in.
I think he's already been cycled through about 9 organizations.
Exactly.
I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe David Ross.
Okay. Who's the guy that I hated the most that was like their center fielder up until like 2 or 3?
Bernie Williams?
No.
Chad Curtis.
No. Man, I used to text my buddy, it's a Red Sox fan, tell him how much I hated that guy. Hard-nosed player, either center field or right field. Just a pain in the butt. Never really did that much, but he would just be opportunistic. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyways, congratulations to the Dodgers and the Dodgers AAA franchise, the Oklahoma City Comets, which I believe Jeremy Schroeder has already ordered a Comets ball cap. So
anxiously awaiting delivery.
All right. So I do like the color. I'm obviously a big fan of powder blue.
Sure.
But I'll say this, and I'll do a mea culpa. When I first saw the post by the organization saying that was going to be their new deal, my first response was ugh. And I put that out on social media, so I own it. Talking afterwards, I get it. The Comets, Mickey Mantle was the Commerce Comet, even though Commerce is closer to
Kansas
and Missouri, Oklahoma City. Brett Gardner, thanks, Dan Narva. You're the best.
Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner, I hated him. He was just the worst. But anyways, Mickey Mantle, lifelong Yankee from northeastern Oklahoma. He did have a nephew who played out here in western Oklahoma for Cordell in basketball. I remember watching him in high school. But I'll just say this. It's Oklahoma. You can use whatever ties you want. I get it. Hey, it could be worse. They could be rolling out 1942 Oklahoma or 1927 Oklahoma A&M striped uniforms or something like that.
Man, that's just nasty work. Things out.
You know who hates it the most?
Me.
OSU fans.
Oh my goodness. Well, the problem is they did nothing with the jersey. It's just a regular black home jersey with a white stripe, and there's no white anywhere else in the uniform.
They didn't have pleasing to the embroidery back in the 20s, Jeremy.
No, I guess I don't know.
Let's see.
They're terrible.
Gardner pretty much ended one of my favorite Tigers' careers, Carlos Guillen, breaking up a double play. Yeah,
that's the way the game was played before we sissified it a few years ago.
I'll tell you, big fella.
The Mickey Mouse bases, and you can't slide, you have to slide straight through the bag, even if you're an arm's length. It's considered obstruction.
So, anyways,
I want to see Albert Bell run someone over and not get thrown out of the game.
So back to the series and the Mookie Betts play in right field with the water-headed Yankees, which, at first the comment before anybody knew who the guy was, people were like, "Oh, guys, there's a chance he may be challenged. Let's be careful." And I was looking at it, it's like, yeah, there probably is. I don't want to jump out there.
I thought he may have been hydrocephalic myself.
Yeah, something. And then they show the Goomba out there posing with his buddy. He's like, no, he's just your typical New York meathead, being a jackass. And then the other dude lifting up Mookie's other arm. I just kind of revert back to my NBA security days, Jeremy. You're gone. You're gone for good. You're not coming back.
Who was the pitcher that turned around and fired the ball into the bleachers?
For San Diego?
It was, oh my gosh. Dang it. Just got in there and right back out. He pitched for the Brewers. He pitched for the Royals. He pitched for I want to say he was with the Rangers this year. He's been around forever. Good pitcher.
It's not Joe Kelly, is it?
No, it's not Joe Kelly.
No, he's not a Ranger. Huh.
But they're just lucky that some of the dudes, like I don't know, not Albert Bell, Joey Bell. Before Albert rebranded himself, when Joey liked to have a drink and get in a fight with fans. They're lucky guys like him and
what if
Jesse Barfield aren't around anymore?
What if Lenny Dykstra had been out there in right field and that happened?
Lenny Dykstra couldn't get that high up on the wall.
Well, with the aid of nutritious supplements, he could.
Well, there probably would have been a headlock, a child tobacco shoved in someone's ear. It would have gotten ugly.
Well, it was a bad scene and a bad look for New York, and it's just kind of typical in my book. But really, it's becoming kind of typical. It's just funny that we live in what these elites call a flyover state, and that typing is real loud.
Okay,
sorry.
I was trying to figure out what the pitcher's name was. I'll go to the phone. How about that?
Oh, thanks. But no, Jeremy, what we were saying is that, or what I was saying is these flyover states get pounded by media, for being lowbrow and things like that. Buddy, those big metropolitan areas like New York and LA and places like that, they got more than their share.
Yeah, they do.
Of what we would phrase rednecks or meatheads or whatever you want to phrase them at. But anyways, baseball is over. Hot stove will be around the corner.
Greinke.
Oh, Chad Greinke or Zach Greinke?
Yeah.
I guess I missed Zach Greinke firing one in the stands.
I thought he did. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
It's all right. All right. So, Jeremy, we'll probably need to reach out to our good friend John Moore with the Texas Rangers baseball podcast and see if we can't get a wrap up on this season and a preview for Hot Stove here in the next couple of weeks. I will effort that myself. Let's jump into, you want to go college football or NBA?
We'll end it with college football.
Okay, your Oklahoma City Thunder are 4-0 on the season. They may go 72-8.
82-0. Yeah, it's going to be a new record.
Yeah. Bad thing is nowadays with the most wins record, that usually means you fall in the playoffs. Like
it only happened once.
Warriors did. But no, they play. They play at Portland. They're 2-game back-to-back sweep on the West Coast. Portland tonight, Clippers tomorrow. Portland's 2-3. Man, the Thunders really walloped my Spurs 105-93. They held Victor Wembanyama to 6 points on 1 of 5 shooting, in San Antonio to 41% field goal. OKC had 4 in double figures that night, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Spurs rebounded and took care of Utah last night, but to me, this, we played the clip last week of Barkley, saying the Thunder are going to win the whole thing. Here's the thing. I didn't think they looked like they played all that well against the Spurs the other night. I was able to catch it with no blackouts and on the mothership, but they're good enough defensively now, Jeremy, that they can get out and get easy buckets and kind of change momentum is what I saw.
Yeah, I think they were they were on the end of a 3 games in 4 nights. They're not at full strength. Hartenstein hadn't played yet this year.
Yeah.
Big man Jalen Williams is out 4 to 6 weeks with a hammy. So I don't know how they shut down Wemby, being as limited as they were down low, but it happened.
Well, Chet Holmgren.
Oh yeah, Chet's a good defender, but
he's
got to come out of he's got to sit for some minutes.
Well, sure, but I
guess Usman Ding, put some big minutes in there. The nice thing about this Thunder squad is not even until those guys get healthy, just right now, you've got Caruso, who's an elite All-NBA defender. You've got Dort, who is just right on the cusp of being that. But they've also got Cason Wallace, who's just a dynamite defender.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much drop-off. If one of them gets in foul trouble, you got that guy to plug in. Well, and against the Spurs, it looked like they were really, 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 really wanting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to work on that step-back 3.
Mm-hmm.
He took 10 threes. He never shoots that much.
Yeah. One thing about the game against the Spurs was A.J. Mitchell. He comes off the bench and
rookie
double figures. Rookie reserve player. So
yeah.
It's a little scary early on, and it's a long season. It's a grinder. I get it, but I mean, this team's young,
and they're going to get healthy.
And let me tell you something. L.A. starts out guns a-blazing.
L.A.
You
talking about the Lakers or the Clips?
Lakers start out guns a-blazing, and then they get trucked on, by Cleveland, which I need to look and see if that was a load management night for.
You want to hear something that's going to piss you off, being a fan of a franchise other than Oklahoma City?
What's that?
There's a good chance that OKC could end up with the number 1 pick and grab Cooper Flagg, because the Clippers are going to be abysmal this year, and OKC owns the rights to their pick, and it's unprotected.
Yeah. So it looks like Anthony Davis played the other night, and you're exactly right. I saw where we'll get into college football in the state of Maine here in a little bit, but I saw where Cooper Flagg's brother is going to stay in state.
Play for are they the Bears?
Black Bears.
Black Bears. Okay.
Black Bears.
I hope they bring a live black bear Saturday.
That's what the hope I've heard is. A lot of people asking for that, so we'll see. Hey, but the NBA is so early on. I really even hate to give it much time, but I know as a Thunder fan, you're probably, and really as a Spurs fan, I'm already looking for next year's draft. I don't think Chris Paul won't make it most of the season, and their other players are just still trying to develop. I'll say this: the Thunder picked up SGA in that sweet spot of his career. He already gotten some experience, already kind of figured out the league, comes in, they have some rough seasons, but you figure last season and this season should be, I mean, I hate to say prime because you'd like to see a guy like that really play well for an extended period, but I mean, this is the sweet spot of his career, and now you're seeing the development of J. Will and J-Dub.
J. Will is the big boy, number 6.
It's not my team.
Dub
I don't care. Anyways, J-Dub and Chet Holmgren really coming out and kind of, what, J-Dub was a rookie last year?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is his third year.
Huh?
This is his third year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they were drafted together.
Okay,
both Jalen Williams were drafted.
So J-Dub plays his rookie season. Holmgren doesn't. So yeah, it's just watching it and seeing it develop. I know you Thunder fans are really excited and really waiting. Hopefully for your sake, it parlays into being a world title, because
it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, after the 2012 debacle or 2012 debacle with a team that was way overconfident and way unfocused, Oklahoma City probably deserves more. So
you're damn right.
Yeah. So, but God only knows here's the thing. When you're crowned as the second coming of the GOAT and you're basically given general manager duties for whatever squad you're at, Will there be another player who can command teams to put together super teams like the not goat has done during his last 10, 12 years? I mean,
No.
we won't see another Mongo super team like that, will we? It's just kind of proven to not work anymore.
Well, he got how many championships did he get with the Heat?
Two.
Two?
Yeah.
Two. So
Could have
he
been
didn't
one.
put that
Could have been one
together.
if Pop would have
Yeah.
subbed in Duncan on defense.
Well, if they could have kept Harden's rear end out of the strip bars in Miami, it could have been a 0.
Could have been.
But I digress.
Yeah.
He didn't build that. That was
That's Pat
Pat
Riley.
Riley and
Yeah.
D Wade, putting that together.
Yeah.
So he tried to be le GM in Cleveland, and it worked the one season. The Lakers, they got the one title
In the bubble.
They haven't done anything besides the bubble championship,
Mhm.
right? They've made the play in a couple of times. Times they haven't made the playoffs at all. Now they're saddled with his kid.
You're an Oklahoma fan. Were you a big Austin Reeves fan in college, and now that he's with LA?
He was really good at Oklahoma, but he was only here like a season.
Yeah.
Transferred over here from Wichita State. He was with Lon. Lon had a good run here. Yeah, they were fun. They were really fun. Huh?
They were boring years.
Yeah, but
What, one Final Four with Buddy Hield and then
the Buddy seasons were great.
Yeah.
It's Oklahoma basketball.
It's an afterthought.
It's third in
Yeah.
the pecking order. Actually, probably third. Yeah.
Well, it will be interesting to see what this season plays out, but there's still so much left. They start so stupidly early. I mean, it's just, it's October and the NBA is going. I hate to give it, but with the Thunder being really good and the Spurs hopefully being able to do something this season, we'll give it its shine. And
the season's doesn't start till Christmas.
No, but when's the play-in tournament? It's in early December, isn't it?
Are you talking? Are you talking about the in-season tournament?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's
well, hey, I forgot. Yeah, the Lakers won that last year.
Yeah, hang the banner.
They played one team that had above a 500 record, which
hang
was
the
Pacers.
banner. Yeah,
hang the banner.
Yeah. All right. So NBA going on. There'll be, like I said, Thunder are on a. Okay, so where are you catching your Thunder games at right now? Living in the Metro?
I'm catching the national televised games, so I watch them on ESPN.
So you said something. They've switched. Bally's is no longer, I guess.
It's FanDuel now.
FanDuel.
If you're on YouTube TV, you're just SOL.
Yeah.
You can download an app. The Bally's app was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rebrand. I haven't downloaded it. I'll just. I can watch streams on various platforms, so I'll get my Thunder fix.
I was going to say, usually there's some bootleg YouTube stream, isn't there?
Something like that.
Yeah, my son. Well, this kid I know about a lot of games he catches on the bootleg.
FBI is now there going through his window like the end of Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. All right, so there is a bevy of college football this weekend in the state of Oklahoma, and one being the title of this episode, SEC versus FCS weekend. And we had heard a long time about this, Jeremy, and now we get to experience it as the Maine Black Bears come to Norman, and OU trying to break off into 3-game losing streak.
It seems like forever.
Yeah. I don't know what, if any, good you get out of this. I mean, it'll be snaps for Jackson Arnold again. It'll be maybe receivers able to work on some stuff, but I mean, in essence, you need to go out early and just let Javonte Barnes run over this team. I mean,
their offensive linemen are finally getting to play guys that are at their level, I think.
Oh, man.
I know that sucks, right?
You believe how hard that is to say?
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
These games like this, and it's funny because it's chalked off so hard about, the level of competition, but obviously it's a huge payout to these FCS schools. I mean, Maine's budget, if they can catch some deals on travel down here.
They're flying Spirit Airways.
They're ready for a whole football team coming in on Allegiant. They'll all be wearing jean shorts and sleeveless t-shirts. Old airport joke there. So anyways, but no, the budgets of these FCS teams are increasingly boosted by these games. It's looking at the game, it's on SEC Plus.
Is that a thing?
Huh?
Is that a thing?
I don't know. I mean, I know when I lived in Norman and we had Cox Cable, there were 2 SEC channels.
Sure. I think SEC Plus is part of the ESPN Plus package.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's ESPN Plus. So
yours truly will be listening to the radio call because I haven't paid the mothership for ESPN Plus. But that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
good Saturday afternoon to tinker in the garage and listen to Toby Rowland.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of dudes chiming in on that broadcast now.
Do they?
Well, you got Toby, you got Teddy,
you
got Gabe Eichert, you got Chris
Blank,
and I think Stoops is jumping in there now too.
Yeah, I think he visits the booth, but hey, he can do what he wants.
Not in my world.
You know what? In a
Bob
perfect
Stoops
world, he's still the head coach over here.
He built that monstrosity out there on 48th Street, 36th.
You don't even live and
yeah.
And
it blocks my sunset view driving down 36th Street.
Oh my goodness.
Dan Narva, FCS mascot matchup. I'd like to see Montana Grizzlies versus Bevo. Ooh. I don't know if the Grizz. I don't think the Grizz do a live Grizzly, but
that'd be super. That'd be cool. It'd be Colorado. They've always been so cowardly. They won't travel with Ralphie. So
in the wild, though, Maine would make a feast of Bevo. I mean,
sure.
Or actually, I'm sorry, Montana, the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
Could a black bear take down a longhorn?
Well, there are 2 schools of thought.
That might be our YouTube short clip right there.
That is your office reference of
black bears are best. Bears beats
Battlestar Galactica.
All right, so what is that kickoff time? Even I've lost track of that.
1:30.
Okay. So a host of other games, Jeremy, in the NCAA, which really will probably be moving away from calling it that for in a year or two. It's just going to be college football. But no, I tell you, the one matchup that really does kind of get my interest. Can you believe Texas is on a bye week again?
Yeah, Oklahoma's on a bye week after the Missouri game. So it's 2 bye weeks now in the SEC.
I guess what throws me off is they go on a bye, they play 3 games, and then a bye week again. That just, I don't know.
I know. It's crazy.
It's odd. Crazy days. Sure. San Diego State tonight versus at Boise State. On my pick'em, Jeremy, I took Boise to cover the 23 and a hook.
Well, let's go to the pick'em now. And we are probably the 2 worst college football prognosticators.
I think I passed you last week. Well, no, we might be tied.
I think we are tied for 7th.
But for some reason, they bumped me up into ahead of you. I don't know.
So you took San Diego?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
While you're doing that,
I've got Boise covering the 23 and a half.
I think I did too. San Diego State's been pretty awful this season.
South Florida FAU?
Oh, I'm South Florida on that officially.
Yeah. Okay. I should just go opposite of you and see what happens.
Well, actually, I have a second profile that I created accidentally that I go oppo picks.
Oh wow!
except the blatant ones.
Okay.
Yeah, I took Boise to cover the 23 and a half. I took South Florida to cover the 3. That's at Boca Raton, so the Owls will be playing in the obelisk and our founding fathers. And I like Virginia Tech giving 4 at Syracuse. The kid from Ohio State that's quarterback there now has been replaced, I think, hasn't he?
Will Howard?
No, the kid.
No,
McCord.
Kyle McCord.
McCord.
Sorry. My bad.
I like Penn State, huh?
Oh, I was moving on to that. That's why I said Will Howard, because Buckeyes.
Yeah, I like Penn State catching 3 at home. You know that's going to be a whiteout. You know it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Man, I like Arkansas.
Yeah, I took this. I took the +7. I'll say this.
WPS.
I'll say this for Connor Carr's sake. And I don't know, Jeremy. I love Dan Narva. He's such a great dude and great supporter, but he's been the only one that's chimed in on YouTube today. We might we might have to go back to Facebook.
Yeah, I don't think anybody followed us or they're busy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's probably here's the thing. There's probably a lot more at work time wasting on Facebook than there is on
Yeah.
YouTube.
I mean, Connor's not working. He's lighting candles at his Lou Holtz altar and
He might be. Do you think?
praying for the downfall of that coach over there.
Do you think he has a patron saint in Ken Hatfield?
He might.
But I do like Woo Pig Sooie and the 7 they're getting at home against Mississippi. I think Mississippi got exposed a little bit last week. Yeah, and it's weird saying that, but considering how bad we gnashed our teeth about Oklahoma. But I mean, Oklahoma came out and really played them pretty well in the first half.
Oklahoma makes a couple of adjustments in the second half. They win that football game. They just didn't make those adjustments, or they didn't stick with what was working. I mean, there's, like I said, 2 schools of thought. They were able to disguise how bad the offensive line was by running quick hitters and running the football.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Arkansas can take advantage of that. I mean,
Yeah.
Oklahoma is only the second team to go for over 150 against Ole Miss all year. So that's a good defense. What they were doing was working.
Well, out of the SEC, Tennessee and Mississippi were both teams that started out just truly gangbusters and have been shown they're not quite they just beat up on a bunch of bad non-conference games. And so, now they're getting to try to prove their mettle. I'm not saying I'd probably take Ole Miss to win it, but I like Arkansas getting 7 in that. Army Black Knights 22.5. I took them with the Air Force Falcons. Really not doing a lot this season.
Yeah, hey, Dan might be right. Yeah, maybe you ought to switch over to Ohio State. I mean, it is a big game.
Hey, it's Franklin. Dan Narva. Hey, it's Franklin. Sketchy to bet on the Nittany Lions.
It's Franklin.
Yeah. Hearing my own voice so much. Where's Connor and Steve and Marty? Marty's running a liquor store. This might be the year Penn State can. I don't think that Ohio State team, Jeremy, and let me pull up some national rankings on that one. It's usually called prep work, which I don't do too well. I just like the fact that actually the line's down to 3 on the score. We got it on the pick'em at 3.5. I just don't think this Ohio State team has shown that they're geared to go on the road and win a big one.
No, they're not. And Will Howard has been very average. And on the road, I don't think he's going to be able to contend with that wideout. Penn State is sitting at 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where's the playoff poll?
Well, I'm just looking at
there it is.
At game stats, and I mean they're both within 6 spots of each other in the total yards.
So how is Miami not passed up Ohio State
in the polls?
Yeah,
polls are jacked. I mean
Georgia's still sitting at number 2 with a loss. Ohio State's sitting at 4 with a loss, and Miami's 8-0.
Pitt's undefeated, and they're not even ranked, are they?
Brigham Young's 9th.
Yeah.
There's no respect for the ACC or the Big 12.
Boy, there is not. And just Clemson and Miami, that's it.
Hell, number 11, Iowa State's undefeated. Indiana's 13th and undefeated.
Yeah.
And has played some decent squads. And when they played those decent squads, just kicked the ever-loving crap out of them.
Looking at the overall rankings per stats for Ohio State, Penn State, I don't know, Penn State. You got to be finally due, right? Franklin's got to be due to win that game. I think this Ohio State team is the one to get it against.
How many passing yards are they giving up at home? Because that's where, total defense at home
Well, they're undefeated at home. Of course,
right.
here I look at the injury report and says Drew Aller's questionable with a knee.
That's their quarterback, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It just feels like I after Ohio State, goes on the road, loses to Oregon, then struggles at home against Nebraska. I don't know that this is the season that you see them come out and just pull one out like they always do in Happy Valley.
Well, yeah, and Ohio State is burdened by expectations, and what has Ryan Day just from year after year?
How he must really go through the Just for Men.
I'm surprised he has a hair left on his head.
How he keeps that hair so black.
It's Sharpie. Just breaks open a couple Sharpies on it.
That's right. So anyways, I like Memphis catching or giving 7.5 at UTSA. The Roadrunners have been pretty. UTSA was picked to win the American, or I think at least in the top 2 or 3.
And that ain't
really
happening.
bad.
Yeah, good.
Don't care about Old Dominion or Appalachian State. I like Mac to go down to Tallahassee and take care of the Knowles, 2.5.
Yep. 45-34 neutral field.
45-35 neutral field, Chris. Texas Tech goes to Ames. I like Iowa State all day in that. I don't. Texas Tech, they get Baron Morton back this week, but I just don't feel like they have what it takes to really be a competitive, top 4 competitive team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I've got the Cyclones there too, but I am just waiting for the other shoe to drop and for them to have that inexplicable Matt Campbell loss.
Yeah, this could be the weekend. I mean, one thing I did think is that with Taj Brooks, Texas Tech can pound it and keep possession. And
sure,
but we've seen Iowa State, come from behind, so it's hard to say. But I'll probably take that line is a little long for me, but 13.5 for Iowa State. There's so much can go wrong in the back. But, hey, if I'm looking at a bad beat on Monday night, I'll know I was part of it. UCLA catching 6.5 at Lincoln. I took the Bruins in that one. I like Michigan catching 14.5 at home against Oregon. This is going to be one of those games to me, Jeremy. Drew, let's see. Dan Narva says Aller got knocked out of the whiskey game. Something tells me he plays. Buckeyes can keep buckeying, or they could totally explode. Penn State can only win if they hold the score down.
Well, see, these last two, I'm opposite. I've got Nebraska covering the touchdown at home.
That's not bad. I mean,
that's a touchdown at home. UCLA is not good.
Nebraska's been less than impressive for about a month now.
And I got the Ducks going on the road and covering that. I mean, it's 2 touchdowns. Oregon's got a good team.
You talked about that Matt Campbell inexplicable loss thing. I mean, depending on what the Oregon defense does, I just think, this sets up to be a deal where Michigan kind of comes to the table at home.
But what's Michigan going to do?
But I'm not regardless of what I'm picking. I mean, it's 14.5. I don't. We've seen that Oregon team,
So you're saying it could be like a 21-16 game?
Yeah, this is a pick 'em, not a win.
I know. I just think Oregon's going to go in there. They're going to cover the 14.5. I think they're going to win that game. I mean, not easily, but Michigan's not going to put up enough fight offensively to.
Yeah.
And the way they're moving Dylan around and really focusing on short throws, crossing routes, getting the ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
Really, it's going to. Yeah, they're going to be able to move the football all day long.
I like Sparty catching 7.5 at home against the Hoosiers.
I got Indiana.
Okay. You hear that, Narva? Jeremy?
Sorry, Dan, but man, I really like Signetti. Google him.
They're looking good.
Guy, yeah, they are looking really good. I was kind of surprised it was only a 7.5 point spread, but they are going on the road, so.
Yeah. What's when I look at it, I mean, we have to start figuring conference championships because I was totally off on my timeline on the playoff polls. And really, at the end of the day, who cares? But I mean, I guess it's starting to take form. But when I look at it, Jeremy, let me pull up some Big Ten standings.
I think Oregon, Indiana,
Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State. Um,
I mean, there's a scenario where all three can go undefeated, and yeah, one
and
gets
it's
left out.
decided what by point differential.
Tiebreakers, yeah,
You know who
point
else
differentials.
decides their you know who else decides their championships or contenders by point differential?
Communists do. That's
British
who.
soccer. But Dan Narva, I do have Sparty covering the 7.5, and I hope they win it for you, bud. Cocktail party, Florida and Georgia. There's been a lot of clamor about that really not being what they used to play it in Jacksonville, right?
Yep.
Where's it at this week?
It is in Athens.
Okay, so they've gone home and home.
I think so.
Okay. I picked Gators to cover 16.5. I probably ought to swap that.
Yeah, I've got Georgia covering that at home.
It says 82% of the poll or 82% of the pickers have Georgia also. So I'm going to.
I mean, they can get beat by 17 points, and Sunbelt Billy's not going to lose his job. Georgia's pretty daggone good.
What's the deal? What's the hold he's got over Gator Nation?
I don't know. I think they're just tired of firing coaches.
Well, we mentioned Mac going into Tallahassee this week. I got to think that Mike Norvell's gone. Of course, I don't know. Did he get some big extension?
He's got a massive buyout, man.
Wow.
They were on the cusp of the playoffs. He's going to get more than 1 year to rebuild it.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of the way it fell apart. I mean,
but he hasn't recruited quarterbacks. He hasn't developed quarterbacks. Just brutal. Travis goes down last year. There's nothing behind him. They bring in Uiagalelei.
Do you think Do you think DJ even has a chance to be a backup in the league?
No. Yeah, maybe backup tight end.
His stock has fallen.
I mean, he's a big athlete. He could probably play tight end.
I like Kansas State covering the 12.5 at Houston.
Samesies.
I like Arizona getting 6 at Central Florida.
And we didn't talk about Central Florida. Fired Ted Roof this week, so you got a new D coordinator.
Tweeted that out at you. So new D coordinator in are they in
Yikes? Orlando.
Orlando. And then another big one that we talked about uniform-wise is the Cowboys catching 2.5 at home against the Sun Devils. Jeremy, here's the thing about Arizona State. They've lost 2 in a row. I'm sorry, they lost to Cincinnati last week by a touchdown, or no, by 10. They had won 2 in a row. Kansas and Utah, who have both kind of proven to be frauds. I like the Cowboys catching the 2.5, and I like them just winning it outright.
Cowboys outright. Yep. On a yeah.
You can't tell me that a Mike Gundy team is going to be, playing that bad this long, and then also now I'll say this, and this is no strike at my Aggie friends or my Poke friends. I remember when Steve Dr. Death Williams used to call them Aggies.
Uh-huh.
He's on wrestling. Poor Aggies. But anyways, the Pokes Nation, I will say this. They have to be pretty distraught with the performance they saw last week. But, this is one of those times when Gundy's backed into a figurative corner. He's going to get the most out of this team. I think they come out and roll against Sparty.
Yeah, they will. Sparky. Yeah, they will. They're at home. They're going to have the excitement around those awesome uniforms they're wearing.
It's going to be just the sheer anger and
Alan Bowman's going to put it up 52 times. Or, they're going to try to keep the ball away from Ollie, and they're going to roll.
Over unders 57.5. That's doable, I guess. And what Corey Hogue tell us years ago? Never take the under.
No.
All right. Let's see. Refresh screen. Don't care about Fresno and Hawaii.
Louisville.
Clemson, Louisville, 10.5. Tigers. I probably like that at Clemson. I like Badgers going to Iowa City and catching 3. I like USC giving 2.5 at UW. And the game of the day, Jeremy, does Texas A&M, are they able to keep the momentum going that Mike Elko, who was he taking shots at? Was it Jimbo last week at his press conference, or was it Chris Del Conte?
I don't know. I didn't watch his press conference.
Well, he in essence said, we're this team's built. We're not built by politicians or.
Oh, then he was taking a shot at a million% at Del Conte.
That's what I thought, and everybody else.
He's not going to take a shot at Jimbo. Jimbo's his old boss.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing, but Twitter seemed to think that he was shooting at A&M brass and Jimbo. I thought, no, that reads a total shot at your big rival. Which the tweet of the week last week, Jeremy, while we're talking about Texas A&M, the tweet of the week had to have been last week of what did it say? It said Texas A&M gets their long-hated rival into their same conference and then wins the conference is the best get back, or it used a lot of younger terminology than that, but but it brought up the
Skibbity toilet,
huh?
Skibbity toilet,
sure. But it brought up a good fact is Texas rolls into the SEC, prohibitive favorite by a lot of people to at least be playing in the championship game, and A&M's rolling out the best football they've played in a long time.
Well, yeah. I mean, they bought a great roster. They were able to keep a lot of that roster this last year. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I mean, it's just funny. It's just funny to say that now and it not be, accusing major accusations. Man.
No, I mean, they paid for that. And I mean, they should be really good.
But this is a bad spot for them.
Oh, yeah.
South Carolina.
Hey, I've got the Gamecocks rolling, buddy.
It's a night game.
All kinds of swag on that field, man. They're gonna break out the black. Gonna be a blackout.
And that defensive line for Carolina, man. I mean, we've seen it in action firsthand.
That defense is gonna wreak havoc on them poor Aggies.
Marcel,
man, I want Gamecocks by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, I took the Aggies, but we'll see. Don't care about Nevada, Reno, and Colorado State. Is Jay Norvell going to keep a job up there?
What's their record now?
You would ask me that.
Well, I mean,
not bueno. Let me look at the Mountain West. I should know that wearing a big Mountain West hoodie. Yeah. Oh, they're 3-0 in conference. So he'll keep his job.
Yeah, he'll keep his job. I mean, it's tough for those. Who they play out of conference?
I know their only loss has to be the Colorado loss, right?
Yeah.
They're on a 3-game win streak. So
they're 3-6.
Oh, 3-6.
They lost to SMU. They lost to Georgia Southern. And they lost to Minnesota.
Okay. No.
So Minnesota losing to Minnesota. SMU,
I'm seeing them 5.
They lost to,
where am I looking here? Because I'm seeing
Nevada?
Colorado State at 5-3.
We're talking about Nevada, right?
No.
Oh, Colorado State.
Jay Norvell to Colorado State. He wasn't.
Okay. That's why I got confused.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd it go? There it is. They are 5-3. Yes. Yeah. They lost to Texas 52-0. And they lost to Colorado.
Yeah.
So they lost to 2 good teams out of conference.
Yeah. So Oregon State too. That's a bad loss. But they're 3-0 in Mountain West play, so
Oregon State's got a decent roster.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, and you know what's funny is the Pac-2. I'm seeing stuff with Washington State as one of those outside in potential playoff teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on the list. It's so odd. They're on the list with like Boise and Army and those teams that could could be
7-1.
Yeah. Baylor giving 3 to TCU in Waco. I don't know what to think about this game.
Let me get back to my picks. Tell you who
I took. Baylor.
I took TCU. I think it's going to be a pillow fight. Don't think either team is very good.
Friday night pillow fights.
And TCU has been playing better since Sonny got kicked out of that game.
Yeah, they've turned it around a bit. I like SMU and here's the disrespect for Pitt. They're undefeated. They're going into Dallas to take on the Mustangs, and SMU's giving 7.5. So Vegas has no faith in the Panthers.
And we both picked the Ponies.
Yeah, they play well in Big D.
And they're getting their quarterback back this week.
Yeah.
Kevin, I would blank on his last name.
Yeah.
Anyways,
did you watch some Thursday night football at all last night?
I watched a little bit of it. I still don't think the Wilson thing was a catch. I've watched it like 15 times today. I'm like, you can't get the same foot down twice. It has to be separate feet, a knee, but he didn't.
There's so much dispute over what to catch in this day and time. And with
if Dez wasn't a catch, then that definitely wasn't a catch.
Throw out some Cowboys.
Let's rip open some Cowboys fans' wounds.
Speaking of, since you brought up he will not be named, Jura. You know, probably the worst thing, and I was watching Get Up a little bit this morning, probably the worst thing you can have as far as an NFL player, and I know they have days off, but these in-season podcasts just have to be the demise of teamwork in the National Football League. You can't have a midweek podcast, weekly podcast, say stuff off the cuff and with emotion riding on it, have guests who are fresh off of drama or whatever the case, and expect it to be beneficial to the team.
Right.
So Trayvon Diggs was on the Micah Parsons podcast, and they were talking on Get Up this morning about how they were talking about the top quarterbacks, and neither one of them mentioned Dak, which is,
how could you?
It's honest, but still, it's your teammate, right? I mean, are we out of the days of blind, promotion and devotion and having your guys back? I know they're defensive players, but
maybe they thought the context was the best you've played against, because neither of them played against Dak.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to speak for them because they got a big enough mess in Dallas anyway. Well, Kevin Jennings is the SMU quarterback. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the Kelsey thing too. I mean, he finally has a good game last week, and he's been ass all season, and it has to be because of all his previous obligations due to his now celebrity.
His off season of love with Taylor.
Mm-hmm. And his podcast with his brothers.
Because they've been doing the podcast for a few years.
It's corny.
Yeah,
they're corny.
They're just a couple of random dudes talking to the internet,
Damn you. I hate you. Or else Vincent Vaughn said, I hate you.
But
don't you talk bad about Dorothy Mantu.
I'm not here to point fingers. You're a real problem.
I mean, I guess I'm just jealous because the minute you're a celebrity in the NFL and you start a podcast, it's got 1 million viewers. So anyways, but they have something to say, so good for them. But no, I thought it was interesting. We talked off the air, Houston, it's scoreless in the second quarter, and then Houston just decides backed all the way up to the 3.
Yeah.
You know what? We're going to go 97 yards, and a majority of it's going to be Joe Mixon just down your gut. And
it was really hard to watch.
Huh?
It was hard to watch. C.J. Stroud had 0 time.
Yeah.
In that first half.
And he made some plays, but I mean he does have good pocket awareness. But how the Texans not buy him? Now that's a great pass rush defense last night. Probably one of the top 5.
Man. But you got to protect the franchise. Put some dudes in front of it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know Stephon Diggs is out now.
Mm-hmm.
Is he out for the season? I think.
Oh well, yeah, he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Nico Collins is out for another week.
Yeah.
So he's out there with Tank Dell and Joe Mixon.
Uh-huh. And it was fun to watch Joe Mixon just, run the rock, but they didn't do much after that. And then, Jets, Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams paid off for him. So whatever. Who cares? I mean, it's Thursday night. It's Halloween. Am I supposed to care about Aaron Rodgers out there chunking the ball?
No. Nobody cares about the Jets except for the networks that keep shoving them down our throat in primetime.
Boy, that is for sure.
How? You got to watch the Kansas City Chiefs being undefeated, play at 3:25 or 12 on Sunday, and then turn around and watch the Jets, who suck, play in prime time.
This coming
every
from
week.
a Kansas City fan who works Sunday afternoons.
Yes. Pisses me off.
Oh my God, that's funny. All right. Well, I guess to wrap things up, I'm looking at the list. I'm not finding anything else I can pick to go over. Just,
Well, but that Monday night matchup's going to be really, really a lot of fun for me, personally. Got
who's Monday night game?
The Chiefs taking on Baker and the Bucks, baby.
Yeah. I did mean to ask you about that. Here's the funny thing, and part of my question is a lot of these matchups are looked at as when they're touted, it's Baylor and Patrick Mahomes. And now I'll watch Manning Cast. I've been watching Manning Cast.
It's fun.
I don't watch Joe Buck anymore. But I watch Manning Cast because it is a little fun. It's even kind of become fun when they got Belichick on there. It's not the worst. But yeah. So much is said on the traditional broadcast about all of the Dan Narvis says, good point. Why the hell are the Jets always on Prime NFL? It's just meant to be that way.
I don't understand.
It's the Aaron Rodgers effect.
He's 40 years old and completely washed up. I mean, I understood when Brady was constantly getting the prime time because he was still ripping off Super Bowls, even at over 40 years old. Rodgers hadn't been to a Super Bowl in over 10 years.
No, he's bad a lot of weeks. But it's because he goes against the grain and he's a lightning rod. That would be my take on it. And
yeah, I guess.
And
he's not playing well enough to be in prime time.
I mean, I hate to agree with the pencil neck from the LA Chamber of Commerce out on the West Coast, but I mean these big media city teams, we're going to see. I don't want to be conspiracy minded here, but you're just going to see the money begin to rule, and it's already happening in college football. It's going to happen in all the professional sports. So,
which is just fantastic.
I pray that during this window of your franchise's team, the Thunder, that they do reel off a championship or two, because as things go, the small market team could be X'd out. Now, I'll say this, with a competent GM and a good draft, and there is money within teams to be able to go out and pay to keep your prime players. There is that. I'll give that. But in the NFL and Major League Baseball, money's going to rule.
Well, think of the largest markets in the NFL. New York City, both teams stink.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Well, and I guess
LA.
I guess the thing for football is good or bad, stink or not, that they're big media, they're big market teams.
Boston.
Yeah.
The Patriots suck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. They're shoved down our throat on a weekly basis, and it's like these games have zero consequence.
They are, but, I mean, you've got a repeating Super Bowl champion who's really, I don't want to say fighting for their lives, but, I mean, they're in a dogfight every week.
Oh, that's
how they won all their games out.
Well, that's how they won every one of their games last year, too.
Well, sure. But, I mean, it's not like watching 2001 Miami. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. If these teams will quit playing with two high safeties, maybe they could push the ball down the field a little bit, huh?
Okay. But my point is that, the drama in game is really good, because you're seeing these games decided on a play or two, as opposed to, a dominant team going out and just, blowing out teams. But I'll say this, they want the Jets, they want the Giants, they want the Bears, they want the Rams, they want the Chargers. They so want the Chargers to be good.
And it just doesn't happen for them.
But where I'll agree with the pencil neck guy is the fact that, they've shown that these ratings, I don't know what the ratings on the World Series are, but I mean, they were already, before the teams were even in, they knew the ratings would be better than last year, because last year was the worst.
Well, definitely. The massive media markets, and there's Yankees and Dodgers fans everywhere.
And we're just flyover states, Jeremy.
Sure, I know. I get it.
Anyways, but what the point I was kind of getting to is the traditional broadcast will make a lot of the 2016 matchup between Baker and Patrick Mahomes, the Big 12 shootout of the decade or the millennium. That has, I mean, it fills time, but it has so little to do with those two players. Football is the ultimate team sport, and OU just happened to have a little bit better off defense than Tech had today. Had a little better running game. And so now you go back and you see, okay, Baker's trying to come out of his hole and all of the depths that he fell in Cleveland, whatever. He's working at it. Mahomes has been at the top of the mountain for 5-6 years now. But it's funny to go back and look at some of these playoff matchups. You had Tua taking on Kyler and the Cardinals last week, and who won that game?
Kyler.
You had Jalen Hurts in a rematch against Joe Burrow from the 2019 debacle. I mean, I'm just saying, these are the same two quarterbacks. There's not that much different in their games. Same four quarterbacks, sorry. These two matchups, because Tua just picked the OU defense apart in 2018, and then Kyler was running for his life,
Yeah, but Tua didn't have oatmeal between his ears in that game, so
I'm just saying. I mean, it's funny to see these college matchups, and everybody just like, Burrow over Jalen every day, blah blah blah. No, it depends on the team around him.
Do you remember when not long ago it was Burrow's better than Mahomes?
He makes a Super Bowl, and they did have the Chiefs number there for a minute, but it's just
did they or did Jamar Chase and T. Higgins?
Yeah, I don't know. How'd you feel about D-Hop's first performance in Chiefs Red?
Well, he had 2 catches. He caught both targets, which is always a big deal when it's the Chiefs receiving core.
Yeah,
it'll improve. It'd be great if they had got him before the bye week. Worked him in a little more, but he'll do a little more this week. He'll do a little more next week, and then by the end of the season, he's going to be the one.
Yeah. I'm screwed fantasy-wise. First of all, that stupid San Francisco defense, you talk about just kicking me twice. First off, they barely score any points against Dallas, and then they let CeeDee Lamb go off in the second half, and Max Patton comes from behind to beat me. And this week I've got two San Francisco players. They're on a bye, and I can't find replacement. One of them's a running back. I can't find a replacement for them. So
all I needed was the Giants to give up a lot of touchdowns to Pittsburgh because I played Conrad Carr. I had a 12-point lead. I lost by 0.44 points. So 0.4.
I bet that's got to be the closest loss.
104.2 to 104.66.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, because of a kicker.
Yeah. I think my bad loss was 1 point this last.
This is the second one of these I've had this year where it's just there's really nothing else. I mean, CJ Stroud's been trash for the last couple of weeks.
Boy, he's had a sophomore slump big time for him.
But I had Higgins on the bench, and Nico Collins comes back next week, so maybe we got
Well, I got A.J. Brown back a couple of weeks ago, and it's helped, but running back has just been the bane of my existence. And Kelsey sucking.
Yeah. I mean, they're starting to use – I've got Bijan and Chuba.
Yeah. Kelsey did score some points for me in last week's game. All right. Let's start to get out of here, Jeremy Schroeder.
Sure.
I tell you, buddy, Marty Wandry asked if I'd go to the main game and us do a road episode tomorrow night for the college football wrap up. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll talk off the air, but I'm not going to be able to participate tomorrow night.
No, the drive and the ride home, and I don't know. I'd love to go to a game with Marty. I haven't been to a game since 2019, but
oh wow,
just things going on in and around the Ramsey abode I've got to take care of. So, and I wouldn't mind since of course it's going to be rainy as all get out. I don't know what we would use to record on the road, so
yeah,
we'll see. All right, hey, big plans for the weekend other than watching the game?
got to go to sister-in-law's birthday party tomorrow night.
Okay, Cunata over there.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, have fun with that. I'm going to probably work in the garage, clean some stuff up, and listen to Toby Rowland on the game broad. What is that, a noon, 12:30?
1:30.
1:30 kickoff. So, go OU, beat those Black Bears.
Yeah, please.
All right, he's Jeremy Schroeder. I'm Chuck Ramsey, the Law Dog. This has been the Weekend Big Show. Thank you for following us on our Instagram, Twitter, X, and Facebook pages. Also, subscribe and listen on this YouTube page. We're YouTube Live now all the time. Thank you, Dan Narva, for checking in and keeping the commentary rolling. And be sure and subscribe. Also, you can listen at your convenience on SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon, or Apple Podcasts. All those links can be found at lawdogsports.com. Have a great weekend. Don't text and drive. And sure, don't drink and drive. And we'll talk to you next week. Actually, we will talk to you tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, for the college football wrap-up show.